As you can see, it's difficult to make everyone silent for the moment. We have the biggest panel of this conference. My name is Cristina Cilacu. I'm the moderator. I'm a journalist. And our panel has, as you can see, a large number of experts here. And we will be talking about why the Black Sea matters and how can we better face the multiple security challenges. Let me introduce you all our guests this evening. First of all, Ms. Ana Tincă, State Secretary for Strategic Affairs from the Romanian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Basat Öztürk, Director General for International Security Affairs from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Turkey. Then we have Yulia Klimenko, First Deputy Head of Transport and Infrastructure Committee at Vernova Rada, Ukraine. After that, next in line is Stefan Meister from Center of Order and Governance in Eastern Europe, Russia and Central Asia, German Council on Foreign Affairs Relations. Then we have Mr. Wilfred Ilge, Senior Advisor, Ukraine and wider Black Sea Stabilization Platform from Germany. And then Mikhail Roux, Ambassador for the Eastern Partnership and Black Sea from France, of course. And last but not least, we have Ms. Katia Plate from Konrad Adenauer Foundation, which is also, I call them co-producer for this panel. So not to waste any time, let's dig in. And Ms. Tincă, you have first the word.
Thank you very much. I would like to start by commending New Strategy Center for the 8th edition of this event, focusing on a topic that has always been on the top of Romania's foreign policy agenda, but it was not the case for all European capitals in the past. I would start by answering your first question, namely, why is the Black Sea important? And the short answer is that this region is of strategic importance both from an economic perspective as well as from a geopolitical standpoint. It is rich in energy resources, it's a bridge between Europe and Asia, but it's also a platform that's used for the projection of military power. It's important for the defense of Europe and it's important for Russia as well. And because of this importance, the Black Sea has historically been an area of connectivity with great potential for the cooperation, but also a center of tectonic clashes between different powers. During the Cold War, the Black Sea was a closed matter. It was a fault line between the rival blocs, but at least it was stable. After the 90s, we tried to put more focus on the cooperation, but unfortunately, they all crumbled, especially after 2022. And I'm referring to this because Romania is really a country who invested a lot in regional initiatives and cooperation. But unfortunately, since 2008, and especially since the beginning of 2022, Russia's aggressive action forced us to move the focus on military thinking and on defense capabilities. If we take now a look at the larger picture, I think that we can say that we are at an inflection point in global affairs with different actors aiming to reshape the world order. And I'm referring to this in that context because the outcome of such inflection points can be predicted by the development in the number of key regions. And as we speak, the Black Sea is such a region. Because what's happening here, it's really indicative about the push and pull of the forces that seek to shape global developments. So I think that what we are confronted with is a Black Sea being host to mutually reinforcing threats both to the Euro-Atlantic security but also to the rules-based order. And this in a combination that we do not see in any other hotspot around the world today. So given this situation, our first priority is, of course, security. And it goes without saying that we need to continue to support Ukraine to ensure that Ukraine is victorious in regaining its territorial integrity and in maintaining its sovereignty. This will also decrease, let's be straight, the chances that war will erupt again in few years in that region or somewhere else in Europe. At the same time, we need to take all necessary measures in order to deter or discourage any temptation of an attack against NATO and the NATO member states. And for this, I think we need to continue to strengthen deterrence and defense on the eastern flank coherently from the Baltic to the Black Sea and in a comprehensive manner, including the naval dimension. And I want to be clear about the fact that when we speak in Romania about the Washington Treaty and the collective defense, we really think of this treaty in its entirety. And we are fully aware of the fact that before Article 5, that speaks about the collective engagement, we have Article 3, which speaks about our own efforts, which are really the basis for a collective defense. But while we deal with security, we need to work on other dimensions as well. And the other priority is connectivity. Because the Black Sea is an integral part of Europe, but also a connective platform towards Caucasus and Central Asia. And here we see a great role for the regional cooperation, but also for the EU, which is showing lately, and we welcome this very much, a willingness to take a more strategic look towards the Black Sea. And we think that that's the right thing to do because the Euro-Atlantic community and Europe as a democratic community does not have to leave any vulnerabilities and any Achilles heel in this region. So while our arguments in favor of strengthening deterrence and defense in the Black Sea are very similar to, for example, what our allies in the Baltic are doing regarding the Suwałki Gap, we need to work on this connectivity agenda because we do not want to leave the Black Sea at the periphery of the global connectivity map. To conclude, I would say that what we need to do to address these multiple challenges, it's pretty much more of the same, because on all these strands of work, we are progressing. We need to be fast, and we need to take into account lessons that we learned during this entire process. We have to ensure better synergy between all actors involved. And we need to start everything from a realistic perspective and not from a wishful thinking-like approach that guided us in the past when were we shy to react or wondered too much about the perception and the reaction on the other side. And reality shows today that this was not something that really influenced things in a positive manner. I will stop here and be ready to discuss further.
Okay, we'll move next to the representative of Turkey, since we are talking about practicality here. Mr. Öztürk, please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be in Bucharest once again. And because I've become a frequent visitor, it's not a coincidence. Black Sea matters for us because of you and because of you. Sure. Not because of you. And it's important because it can also be important for you as well if the EU also takes a more strategic approach, also be more inclusive to include Turkey, a country which signed the association agreement when I was born 60 years ago. And it has been a candidate country for such a long time, so this is a fact. If the EU would like to play any role in the Black Sea, first it has to be more strategic and open. But when it comes to our neighbors, the Black Sea matters for us because we are direct neighbors from the Black Sea and we care about the prosperity, stability, safety, security of our neighbors. It's like human beings. We have to be really caring about our neighbors. We have to live in a peaceful neighborhood. Yeah, one of the neighbors may be causing problems. Then the other neighbors will get together and we'll find solutions. So in this context, that's why we are looking for lasting peace, security, stability, prosperity in the Black Sea, despite the ongoing war. Yes, it is demoralizing. Yes, it's dangerous, and the threat is real, and we take measures together. In accordance with Vilnius Summit, paragraph 79, communique, therefore, we have increased the regional efforts to uphold safety, security, stability, and safety of navigation in the Black Sea, also including through Montreux Convention. And sometimes the Montreux Convention has been demonstrated as it is an obstacle against the interest of the Black Sea riparian littoral states. But in reality, it has survived for the last 88 years, including the Second World War, including the Russia-Georgia War, and also this one. Why? Because it provides us a very special and strategic instrument for maintaining even stability under war circumstances. It provides us the ability to control escalation, to contain this crisis to the extent possible. That's why it's so precious, and that's why it's mentioned also in paragraph 79 of Vilnius Communique. But when it comes to our neighbors, like Romania, where we have been developing and investing a lot, it's not a coincidence that the trade volume between our two countries has reached and exceeded $10 billion for the last 2 years. 19,000 Turkish companies do business and invest in Romania. Their investments amount to $8 billion. The same vision goes to Ukraine, or Georgia, or Moldova. So therefore, this is our vision. We always care about regional ownership and act in a responsible manner. And we have to also remember that there are other wars and conflicts around us, which are interlinked. There was another panel this morning about the Middle East. And we have discussed there the links between the war in Gaza, its repercussions in the region, in the broader region, which also impacts us all. And there are also other conflicts in the world, increased exponentially in the last 2 decades. We have also emerging challenges, so important that we all have to take into account. That's why our suggestion as an ally, as a neighbor, forever, even beyond the European Union and beyond NATO, we will remain as neighbors and allies and friends for the rest of our lives. This is our vision, and this regional ownership under the present circumstances is the most important aspect of our strategy and vision for this Black Sea. Writing Black Sea strategies from far away is possible. You can write thousands of pages of Black Sea strategies. They are not going to be implementable if the little states are not on board. This is so important to recognize and remember all the time. And I know that there is a time limitation. If I have 57 seconds more, I'm going to make a conclusion accordingly. In the context of also other conflicts I have just mentioned, the situation in Ukraine, for example, even under war circumstances, we did our best for prisoner exchange, for Black Sea grain deal. The safety of navigation in the Black Sea is possible and better now with the establishment of mine countermeasure Black Sea between Turkey, Romania, and Bulgaria. It's going to be operational very soon. We will have a Navy commanders meeting, and then it will become operational. So we will have a concrete measure against drifting mines. But when it comes to helping Ukraine, we heard General Petros. He was more, I think, realistic by saying that this concept of as long as it takes, giving Ukraine the encouragement, but not the kind of capabilities they need and the problems they are facing with are serious. So we need to help Ukraine in an honest manner. Because it's not possible to say Ukraine is fighting for all of us, but they are the ones fighting, they are the ones dying, they are the ones suffering. As a responsible neighbor, we cannot ask for them to fight for us for the rest of their lives. So this is important, and we have to show genuine friendship, genuine solidarity as a neighbor, as a true friend of Ukraine. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's hear as well the view of Ukraine over this. Mrs. Klimenko, please.
Hello, and thank you for hosting me here. Yes, Turkey is a good friend of Ukraine, and we have the same Black Sea. We have the same straits, but the key was Turkey on the straits. But I hope someday, sometime, we will discuss also Montreal Convention and how we will live in a peaceful time. But now we have war, full-scale war. So why Black Sea matters in this war and for Ukraine, and also why Black Sea matters not only for Ukraine, but also for our neighbors in European Union, as well as for the whole global world. Because during these 2 days, I heard a lot of concerns from our Western partners that how we explain our voters, Black Sea is so far from us, why we need schools in US and somewhere else. And this also questions to be addressed. I hope I will address. So the first issue, why, first question, why it matters for Ukraine. For Ukraine it matters because we have one of the biggest coastal line in the Black Sea. We're one of the biggest country in the Black Sea region. If we consider also Azov Sea, which is the part of Ukrainian sea, unfortunately temporarily occupied by Russia. So it gives us 70% of our export by sea routes and 60% of our foreign currency. So the sea is the main economic base for Ukraine, because all our not only grain export but metal export, chemical export, etc., going through the Black Sea. This is the cheapest. We have as you know, in Odessa and other regions, we have deep ports, and this is one of the cheapest logistics in the world, so to say. We are feeding 400 million people, and I will say it later when I say why it matters for the whole world. So for us, it's very important to keep freedom of navigation in the Black Sea, and we are fighting for this with our blood. Despite we have a lot of neighbors around, but we are fighting for the Black Sea now, and we are actually doing sea routes, making sea routes, I don't know how to say it, by our armed forces. Because as you know, the agreement, which is thanks to Turkey and thanks to UN, we had 1 year ago, unfortunately expired, and Russia didn't agree to prolong it, so we had to take our arms, take our warships and actually done this sea route. So now we actually back to the export level we had previously, before the full-scale invasion. And it's done, honestly, by ourselves and by our capabilities and by our armed forces. It's not about diplomacy. It's not about never-ending talkings. It's not about round tables. It's physically done by ourselves. So yes, we had to invent and innovate we didn't have fleet before the full-scale invasion, because it unfortunately stayed in the occupied Crimea and was destroyed. But we are very innovative and creative people. We actually created sea drones. And with this kind of weapon and fleet, drones fleet basically, we already destroyed over 35% of Russian fleet. Big vessels, very expensive, destroyed by cheap Navy drones, sea drones. And the total cost, total loss of the destroyed vessels, Russian vessels, is over $4 billion. I think the whole cost of our drones we used for past 2 years not exceed to 50 million. So that's a new reality in which we are all living in our Black Sea. So why it matters for Ukraine? It's obvious. For us, it's civilian lives, because Russia using Black Sea for systematic destroying of our cities, dying, killing our civilians, killing our kids. So they are purposely doing from the Black Sea, from their warship vessels. They also attack our port infrastructure. They also attack inland waterways, etc., etc. So many things they are doing through Black Sea, so to say. For us, this is the reality, and we will proceed with our protecting ourselves from the naval aggression of Russian Federation, and we are obviously very successful in it. Then why it matters to our neighbors? Because Black Sea, it's a sea, it's not land. The mines going from Ukraine to Turkey, to Romania, to many other countries. It's open sea. The same with the drones. They're flying not only to Ukraine, Russian and Iranian drones. They're flying not only to Ukraine, they're flying to Romania territory. They're flying to other countries, neighboring countries, to Poland. So there is no possibility how it would be closed only on Ukrainian territory. And that's why it matters for all Black Sea region to make it sustainable, to have sustainable security and to have sustainable peace and protection further. For that, we need your help to need the mining coalitions, etc., etc., etc. Why it matters for the very, very far countries like US and many other countries? Look what happened yesterday with Taiwan. China encircled. They didn't hit a single missile to Taiwan. They just encircled Taiwan. That's what happened with Ukraine. Between 2014 and 2022, this same strategy, they're blocking sea routes, they're blocking trading routes, and they're just killing your economy. The second step will be what will happen in Ukraine. Now it started in Taiwan. That's why it matters not only for Ukraine, it matters for US, who are protecting Indo-Pacific, for European countries, for Japan, for Taiwan, and many other countries. So just saying we will focus on domestic issues, we have a lot of domestic issues. It's a very naive and strategy. So you cannot, if you pretend to be a great power, you have to protect and look as a great power and not like a domestic, very national countries, because it's of your interest of trade and security to have freedom of navigation in the Black Sea, in the Taiwan Strait, and many others actually in the global ocean. So that's why all matters. Black Sea matters. It started from the Black Sea, but will not end in the Black Sea. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see the Germany view over this. Not
Okay.
a Black Sea country, but you never know.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to the Romanian colleagues for the invitation, and also Konrad Adenauer Foundation for this invitation. Very happy to be here in Bucharest. I really think we need this more realistic discussions, but also the more ambitious projects in a way. So, and I see often a mismatch also. On one hand, we have very ambitious in the discussions, but then in the implementation, I think we also have deficits. And I include also my country, even if I think Germany is doing more in supporting Ukraine. And I also think we really need more non-Black Sea countries here at these conferences to engage more in this region. I think it's really crucial, and I would like to see also more German and more French and others also colleagues at this kind of conference. And I think this is the reason why I think is we have this large-scale war in Ukraine now, and I think it is the Black Sea region where the new European security order will be negotiated. I think this is, in my opinion, the region which is at the moment at the core of European security, and it has underestimated for too long, and it needed Russia's large-scale war against Ukraine to remind us how strategically important this region is. We also understand that the post-Cold War European security order is destroyed, has ended. Multilateral institutions and arrangements have become dysfunctional. And that there will be a much more transactional, power-based and unstable new European security order. And I think we see exactly this here in this region. And I think this is very important also. That's why it's very important to engage also in this region in a different way. I don't think that Europe is ready for this new reality. I think we talk here a lot about how we support Ukraine, what we have to do, to that Ukraine is not losing the war. But I think we are not ready for this new transactional reality in which we are, and we are still not topping up in a way our own military capabilities, not only the support for Ukraine, which is really needed for this new reality. I think with the EU enlargement policy and also NATO, both can play a bigger role for regional stability and security in Europe, but also in this region. But we also understand that the global environment is impacting on all of us. We see that US leadership is further diminishing, is focusing or refocusing also its forces in other regions. And we see also that the growing competition with Russia, China and Iran will create a more unstable environment also for this region. And to be honest, my experience with the Black Sea politics is, first of all, a lack of strategy. By many countries, a lack of regional identity by many of the littoral states, and a lack of cooperation. And we can criticize the EU's Black Sea synergy for its lack of ambitions and strategic depth, but we also understand why it was implemented, because it was so soft and it was so fuzzy, in a way, and that was the only agreement the countries could agree, because they didn't want to have more substantial agreements. I think everything more ambitious from the EU side or from NATO will create conflicts, but I think we need more EU. In my opinion, we need more EU and we need more NATO in the Black Sea. So I agree with the Turkish colleague, also regional cooperation, multilateral cooperation is very important, but I think we need also institutions here which are more active in this region, and I think this is for me NATO and the EU. And the EU is discussing is starting to discuss a new Black Sea strategy after the Black Sea synergy. So it is something which is in making, and also particular member states, including Germany, have started a discussion that we need also as Germany and as a European country, we need a Black Sea strategy. I think I'm not so sure if we really have learned the lesson from 2014, and that there was not a reaction on Russian annexation of Crimea and the control of the Sea of Azov, which I think both this non-reaction from our side has invited Russia to do in 2022 what it did. And I think you just made this point on Taiwan. So there is a playbook also which is going on where others are learning from. And I still don't think we are doing sufficiently here in this region and also in the support of Ukraine to have the right reaction. And I think I just don't see neither the US nor European countries really being in this new reality in a way that we doing the things we are talking about. Also, we talked a lot about at this conference, in my opinion. I think. Maybe just a last point before I end. I think where I also see a problem from the European side is these focuses on different regions and not linking the different regions with each other. So, yeah, Turkey and Russia, for them, Black Sea is a region where they project power towards other regions. And I think we have now this big discussion in the EU about connectivity and connecting also South Caucasus, Caspian region, Central Asia with Europe. And here, again, the Black Sea is at the core. And I think connecting these different kind of policies also from the EU side, if it's trade policy, if it's security policy, if it's human security policy, if it's a comprehensive security approach, I think it's very important also when we rethink our Black Sea policy. And maybe a final element, I think my colleague will also talk about it, is maritime security and safety in the Black Sea, and also the Sea of Azov. It's about international law, it's about international agreements, but also the actors and the institutions who implement these kind of agreements and laws. And I think this is very important also for the Black Sea region, which in my opinion is also not sufficiently discussed.
Thank you so much. I see that Mr. Ilge took a lot of notes. I also have to tell you that we had a short conversation last evening about what we'll do today, so I'm pretty sure we'll have a nice presentation coming up. Mr. Ilge, please.
Thank you very much. I would like to remind us that the war aim of the Russian Federation, and that's why Black Sea matters, is not only Ukraine, but it is actually to gain the control over the wider Black Sea. And that means not only the Black Sea, but including the Caspian, South Caucasian region in order to project power also to the Eastern Mediterranean. And we saw that already in the past. Actually, the Black Sea Fleet and also the Caspian Flotilla was the lifeline for the Syrian war. We should be clear that the Black Sea is at the crossroads of Russian war aims against Ukraine on the one side and the power projection and aggression maybe against NATO on the other side. We should be also clear that the militarization of Crimea was primarily not directed, when we speak of the beginning of 2014, not against Ukraine. It was to establish an HD, H2 denial zone in order to project power against actually the NATO states. And the problem was that no one addressed that. The heavy militarization with nuclear warheads or with cruise missiles which are capable for nuclear warheads. Second point is that I think we should also define, against to the background of what I said, more realistic aims how to support and for what vision we support Ukraine in that war. And the key issue here is actually to bring Ukraine in a better position in the south. So on the one hand, we should now stabilize Ukraine in the east, but I think the most important is that Ukraine, as Michael Samos said it today, can blockade and control Ukraine, the Crimea, or even push out Russia of Crimea. Because even if we would have sometime a ceasefire, we should be clear that as long as Crimea is under control, and also the Azov region under control of Russia, Russia will immediately continue a hybrid war against Ukraine, which already before the war led to the full blockade of the Azov Sea and already to the reduction of the Ukrainian corridor to the Bosphorus until 25 kilometers. We should be clear that Russia already tried to cut off quite successfully Ukraine from the sea. And that means for me that we already now should define what has to be done, and we should equip Ukraine actually with those weapons and capabilities, that is very important, to make progress in the south, where we have actually in the lower Dnipro region the weaknesses of the Russian side. And what is here also important, we have also not a long window of opportunity. Please note that Russia is building up heavy logistic lines as an alternative to the Crimean hub in the Azov region. What is happening here? We have a build-up of a very thick network of railway lines going even to Tokmak, so to the Zaporizhian front. And if Ukraine will not have the capability to block these tendencies in time, we maybe see next year a rapture deployment from the Russian side through the land through the land roads again against Odessa, because what we see also in the Azov region is the establishment of new platforms for big urban city fighting. What is Russia is establishing here, and that is of course about Odessa, and only if we block the main aim of the Russian Federation, if we make Russia understand.
Let's use another mic. Thank you so much for helping.
That Russia will never go will never reach that aim. I think we have a chance to bring Ukraine in a successful position. Second point, I think it is very important to support Ukraine already now. You spoke already about drones, but I see already to start now to equip Ukraine with the preconditions of a coastal defense, because we cannot start with that when the war ends, then it is too late, because Ukraine actually then already has to have the capabilities to block these hybrid warfare again. The second thing is, Stefan spoke already about maritime security. We will face, of course, the need to bring more security to the trade routes in the northern Black Sea, and that means more presence, naval presence of NATO or European Union, or let us think about formats who are feasible also, for example, for the Turkish side, yes, because Turkey, of course, is a crucial partner here. Turkey is a difficult partner, but it is a very important partner, and we should at first respect the Turkish interests. So on the one side, Turkey is a guardian of the Straits because it is also about Turkish sovereignty. That is one reason of that. But the other reason, of course, is that the contract of Montreux is also the basis for projection of power in the whole region. Turkey sees itself as a, let me say, guardian of the region, and we should respect it, and we should, I think, also from the side of European Union. Stefan spoke about transactional approaches. I would not name it transactional approach, yes, but we need a more pragmatic approach and a positive narrative. We see now a little honeymoon between European Union, yes, and Turkey. Yes, Mr. Borrell said we should establish a very good cooperation. It's a benefit for both sides. But then we should not overburden such a start with difficult subjects or topics, like, for example, to say that the precondition should be here. That was from the European side. They give the impression that Turkey at first should be constructive in the question of Cyprus. But I think that is a big problem, of course, for Turkey, because it was not maybe Turkey who is the first problem. Also, it was not Turkey who refused the Annan plan. It was the other side. So what I think is, Turkey is very interested in the modernization of the custom union. Turkey is very interested in solid capital to revise its financial policy. And on the other side, we are very interested to do more for security in the Black Sea region. And we should really establish a strategy, a European strategy for good European-Turkish relationships, which are beyond the close questions of European integration, in order to bring more security to the Black Sea region. And why is Germany interested in that? Germany is a very important power of the Danube region. Germany is the biggest economic power and Danube state. And I think Germany has a big interest in the trade through Danube. Please remember whose ships were blocked in the Azov Sea in 2018. There were many German ships who were blocked in the Strait of Kerch. So Germany as a trade power, of course, has a big interest in free navigation in the Black Sea. And Germany, of course, has a big interest in the security. And if you are now the second supplier of weapons for Ukraine, if you are now the second supporter of Ukraine, that Ukraine will be successful, you cannot rule out the crucial question of Black Sea for Ukraine. Maybe I let it here.
Thank you so much. And we have France as well here present, since they are more active at the Mediterranean Sea. Let's hear, what do you think about the Black Sea? Why is it important, Ambassador Roux? Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah.
It's open, it's okay.
So, bonsoir, buonasera. So I'm happy to be back in Romania. I was here in 1999 for the pre-adhesion of Romania. and it was the first country I visited when I was posted in this position of ambassador to the Black Sea. And the recent creation of this position per se demonstrate the interest we have in the Black Sea. So indeed there is an interest which raised in the last years. Strategies are being designed in the US, in France. I'm happy to know that Germany also had the same interest. There were reflections in the EU on that. So I tried to respond to your questions, but we are in the end of the forum. Everybody said anything, so I will try to concentrate on the position of views of France to add specific views on this. So first, why do the Black Sea matter? The first reason, and let's go straight to the point, because Moscow is today the main threat to the security of the Black Sea and to Europe. The power in place in Moscow since 1999 never fully accepted the 1991 borders, nor the independence of the former Soviet Union republics, at least those of the Eastern Partnership. I share your view, Mr. Gilger. Its aggression on the Black Sea started long ago. This is a long and patient process. Maybe it started in the 90s. We had the use of force in 2008, 2014, then 2022. Diplomatic efforts were made to stop violence. France took its part. But we have to admit that it was used to gain time and to prepare more and more brutal breaks of international law and to gain more and more control over the coasts and the waters of the Black Sea. So it is a regional threat. It is a threat on Europe. This is a global threat. So this is why these countries, which may be far away from the Black Sea, have to concentrate on this region, because we must stop the invasion of Ukraine and stop the expansionism of Russia and oppose Moscow's vision of a world of zones of influence ruled by force rather than by law. So maybe the Pandora box is open, but we have to close it while it's possible, and this is now, and this is in the Black Sea. The Black Sea matters for many other reasons, which were mentioned by my esteemed colleagues, on energy security for Europe, food security for many countries, even far away. It was underlined by the representative, the Vice Prime Minister of Moldova this morning. And also the war stressed the role of the Black Sea as a bridge between Europe and Asia. So what to do, your second question, to face all these challenges? So the primary goal, the first goal, I will have 2 points on that. The first point, the primary goal, remains, I said it already, to thwart Russian plans in the Black Sea. How? By providing support to Ukraine, as long as it takes as intensively as necessary. It was underlined after the summit conveyed by Emmanuel Macron in Paris in February. Military support, humanitarian, financial, economic support to Ukraine. By working on the sanctions against Russia, they are making the Russian war effort more difficult. They will have effects in the long term. They are partly bypassed, and we have to work collectively, especially in the Black Sea, against the circumventions of these sanctions. But we need to go beyond that, and this is what Stefan said. We have to build a credible defense for the European continent. To have to build a strong European pillar in NATO. And this is not only about EU. This requires discussions, broader discussions in the EU, and the European political community, which will meet in July, is a good place to discuss this new security paradigm. How to build a credible European defense? Mainly by building a strong defense industry. This will send a clear signal of deterrence to Russia. Europe has underinvested in its production for decades. Look, for example, for the armaments of the European Peace Facility, it was 75% purchased outside Europe because the European industry was not ready. So how to have this industry ready? By ordering armaments to the European factories so that the private sector can invest with previsibility. And so France advocates for European preference when it comes to the procurement for the European armies. If we do not do that, we will not be ready. So these views were presented recently by Emmanuel Macron in his speech to the Sorbonne in Europe on the 25th of April. There is an interview to The Economist on the 2nd of May when he comes again on these details. These views are shared in Europe. 2 days ago, there was a Weimar agenda for a strong geopolitical European Union published on the 22nd of May, which takes most of these ideas. My message is that Europeans have to believe in themselves. They can build this defense, they can reach this autonomy, and this is also in the interest of the United States of America, this strong pillar within NATO, because the United States may have to act on other theaters. So I want to make it clear again, because stereotypes when France speaks are strong sometimes. This is a strong pillar, European pillar within NATO. NATO remains essential, principally because of the nuclear threat. And France participates to the reassurance measures of NATO on the eastern flank. This is the framework nation of NATO in Romania. This is the biggest military presence of France abroad, and it will be scaled up next year in May. We are also in favor of deepening NATO unique partnership with Ukraine. And the vocation of Ukraine to join the alliance is reaffirmed every summit, and we do support that. A second point, apart from these defense issues, we also have to demonstrate that peace, trade, and democracy can bring stability and prosperity in the Black Sea region. Moscow is afraid of to see that the democratic model brings stability and prosperity in its neighborhood. Because the Russian population would ask the same, and this is the reason we had what we had in Ukraine and in Belarus. So how to build this prosperity in the region? And we have to enlarge the European Union to Ukraine and Moldova. We are fully supporting these new dynamics of the enlargement. We have to build constructive relations with Turkey, who is a central player in the region. This is obvious, and everybody says that, of course. I can just mention that Turkey is the main trade partner in the region for France. So this relation exists anyway. And Turkey can play a decisive role, but we believe in peace in the South Caucasus, which is key to the efficiency of the Middle Corridor. With better energy security, I understand that the countries of the region may have interest in exploiting the resources of the Black Sea, which are something at stake. As to France, we will concentrate on the energetic transition in the Black Sea. That's energy efficiency, nuclear and renewables. With the Middle Corridor, the banks are mobilized, the French sector, the French banks also, they were meeting in Brussels on that, and of course we are supporting. Also France can play a specific role in strengthening the people-to-people relations in the Black Sea, with its networks of school, universities and cultural institutions in the Black Sea. We should not neglect education and culture, which are feeding the freedom of thought, and in the end, this is what we are fighting for. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you as well. We also have on stage the head office of CAS, Katia Plate. I promise we'll get back to Mrs. Plate. And let's start now the conversation between us, because it's a lot to debate. I have a question, since we have 22 minutes exactly, and since I see that our panelists by default somehow seated on this stage east side and west countryside, I would address a question first to the eastern side of this panel. We agree that we all need the Black Sea strategy, but what each of our countries need from this Black strategy? Mrs. Tinka.
Thank you very much for that question. I would say that for us, again, it's important that all like-minded partners work in synergy and work closer together. And my Turkish colleague and friend referred to the regional efforts, which we also value very much. And indeed, we will be launching soon an important initiative for demining in the Black Sea. But I would say that in Romania, we do not see the efforts by the region, by the individual countries, by EU and NATO as excluding each other. What the situation, the gravity of the situation and the importance of the Black Sea are as such that we see all these efforts as being complementary to each other. And what we would like to see in such a strategy is putting all these strands of work together and ensure that what we are doing, again, as like-minded partners, as countries and organizations that share the common objective of a safe and secure Black Sea, that we work together to make sure that our response is sustainable for the long term, and again, by pulling together all the efforts and working together towards the same direction. For Romania, as I said, we see these two very important directions as being equally important. One is a strong and credible deterrence and defense in the Black Sea and along the entire eastern flank, from the Baltic to the Black Sea. Experience shows that wherever Russia sees a vulnerability, it's that precisely place that it is tempted to test us. And then we need to work together on connectivity, and there are a number of projects being developed. And we see all those projects not in a competitive manner, but we look for win-win situation, and we think that now is the time to, again, to put together all the efforts and ensure that we have alternatives, and we are ourselves, autonomous and sustainable, and we avoid the situation that has been created right now. Very briefly, I listened carefully also to what our Ukrainian colleagues said, and I think it's worth mentioning here that very much aware of the Ukrainian needs, Romania has made really huge efforts to help Ukraine, for example, with the export of Ukrainian grains. We invested a lot in cross-border infrastructures. We strengthened the port of Constanța, and figures show that more than 35 million tons of Ukrainian grain have passed through Romania over these 2 years towards the global markets, and again, providing also Ukraine an important source of income in the current situation. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Ospurk.
Thank you. We have tensions not only from the Baltic to the Black Sea, from the Arctic to the High North, which was previously called High North Low Tension, not anymore. Baltic, Black Sea, Eastern Mediterranean, Red Sea, Bab el-Mandeb, Indian Ocean, Asia Pacific, North Atlantic, huge area. So it's really reasonably the responsibility of regional allies to do whatever is possible and feasible in the Black Sea, of course, with the support of NATO allies. But when it comes to the European Union, we would like to believe in a genuine effort to accommodate Turkey, which is the 5th largest trading partner of the European Union, exceeding 200 billion euros last year. And so I hope this is taken into account. But when you talk about, European strategies, I remember strategic compass, which was not strategic and not the true compass showing the right direction. Because Turkey was mentioned among China and Russia as a malign actor. What kind of strategy is this? Now I hear Black Sea being a bridge between Europe and Central Asia. Black Sea is not a bridge, it's a sea. The bridges are in Istanbul. 3 bridges connecting on the air. Eurasia Tunnel for trucks and cars. And submerged tunnel Marmaray for trains. So these are the 5 bridges you can reach anywhere in Asia. You need to get realistic. There will not be a bridge over the Black Sea, over our north, when we have the largest coastline, the largest naval fleet, and all these connections. We are going to see the EU establishing an artificial bridge in front of our eyes from Europe to Asia. Is, I think, not even a dream I can call. So I'm sorry for being blunt, but since I understand the strategy is being prepared, better to be realistic. Because we can connect or disconnect Europe from the rest of Asia. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Klimenko.
Very optimistic speech of my Turkey colleague. So first of all, I would like to thank you all representatives of their countries and nations who are supporting Ukraine, because you do support a lot for 2 years of us, not only 2 and 10 years, and I hope we will have this support in the future and we will win all together. So this is great thanks from the Ukrainian nation to you. And one more comment that using Black Sea and sea routes, we are not, how to say it, it's not only for Ukraine, because we are producing over 100 million tons of grains per year. And we are not eating 100 million tons. We are eating only 10 million. So we are exporting de facto 90% of our crop, and we're exporting the very low-income Asian Asian and African countries. So we are feeding 400 million annually. And, we are doing it because we are responsible people. We understand that what happened in 2022, when we stopped export, the hunger took place in Africa and in some Asian countries. So we are not going to kill people because somebody crazy Russia decided to block Black Sea and decided it's not, as one Russian lady said in one of the conferences, it's Russian sea. Just to remind, it's not Russian Sea. It's one big open sea of all of us. So what we need to protect it. The big goal, Ukraine, is to be a NATO member, because only in this way we are between Turkey and Romania, and we have the same, so to say, problems with the protecting sea. To be a part of a NATO for Ukraine will solve, and for Black Sea and for our neighbors will solve 100% of the problems. Because we can add on, we can be an asset to NATO, because we can all add our capabilities, we can add our technologies, new technologies, our trained people, our people who is on battlefield, not in the training centers, It's a completely different approach when the person went through the war and when the person just heard about the war. So that's our big goal. Meanwhile, to protect our coast and sea routes we are using to feed Africa and Asia, people in Africa and Asia, we need the very simple things like coastal defense systems, like long-range missile systems, like fighter jets, and we need it to protect sea routes, not only protecting cities of Odessa or our ports. Honestly, if tomorrow they will destroy all our ports, yes, we will lose money. Okay, we will lose our economy, but we have enough to eat. And the rest of the world will just have a hunger, because we have enough to eat. We can eat it for 10 years if we will produce our crop, 1 year crop. But the problems will be in other countries like Africa and Asia. And when the people is hunger, they are doing I mean, many sometimes, not extremist things like changing governments, like changing geopolitics, like different kind of war unrests, like massive migration to other continents. So it has consequences not only for Ukraine but for the rest of the world. We have considered mass migration, hunger, cost of the food, which you all had in 2022 and 2023. Why you have problems? Because I am a politician. I am an elected person. I understand what to explain people why the potato or bread increased 2 times or 3 times because of the inflation. And very simple, because inflation is a result of the closed sea routes and the war in Ukraine. And that's immediate impact on Europe, on Africa, on Asia, and have a long-term consequences of migration and other very unpleasant things in changing in the geopolitics. So long-range missiles and Patriots cost less.
Thank you. Before I address my question to the western part of our panel, I would like to say that we will have time just for one question from the audience. Okay, let's go ahead and then I'll do my... or maybe more question, yeah, it's fine.
Thank you very much. Hope it's working.
It is.
Very quick question for Ambassador Öztürk. Sir, is it fair to consider that the demining mission initiative is just the starting point? And I will just refer to 3 proposals from the report prepared last year by New Strategy Center, EDAM from Turkey, Sofia Security Forum. First proposal, the 3 NATO countries to develop their anti-access area denial capabilities in the Black Sea. 2, develop the anti-submarine capabilities in the Black Sea. And third, and very important, protect and defend their interest in the exclusive economic zone, because the exploitation of energy resources, it's critical. And the Russian deep sea Spetsnaz, as they are called, are still active. Thank you.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. There is no doubt that the cooperation we have started between Romania, Turkey, and Bulgaria,
And will include Ukraine sometime.
Definitely will include Ukraine and Georgia, and will be open to contributions from others on the basis of consensus to be reached among 3 of us. Contributions from others may be possible, but we need to be sure that there is a genuine interest and it's not going to be destructive or dangerous. For example, talking about peace in the Southern Caucasus, but at the same time giving the missiles to the wrong country, whereas they are needed somewhere else, is not a constructive approach. What we need in Southern Caucasus is peace and reconciliation, not more missiles for any country over there. And the question you have asked, of course, it sets the ground for future cooperation that can be expanded, because we are going to have, especially Romania and Turkey, deep Neptune, and we have already developed our own gas fields in the Black Sea, already drilling another well these days. So they need, of course, protection. But we have to have cooperation in the search and rescue, in providing situational awareness for the Black Sea region, in and around our coastal waters, including our exclusive economic zones, of course. As long as we have this genuine solidarity among 3 littoral allies, genuine regional ownership that may include you also in the future, and contributions of well-intended, genuine partners from other parts of Europe or NATO alliance would be possible. We can discuss it later. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Going, as I said, on the west side of our panel, I would like now Mrs. Katia Plate, head office of Konrad Adenauer Foundation, to have the final remarks, because I'm afraid we don't have much more time. Thank you so much.
Well, I think we have 7 minutes left, and I think I can have my final remarks very short and give you the opportunity to put one more question, if that's...
Okay.
I think that's fair.
Okay, then I have to ask if the western part of this panel, as we discussed it already, agree with what the eastern side already said, but please have brief answers.
I really don't like this Western and Eastern here, and I think we really have to say that the East is driving the whole Europe at the moment, but I also see Ukraine or Romania not as Eastern countries. Yeah, so I have a little bit of problem with this approach, because I think we are in the same boat. Let's say it like this. I think I just want to confirm again. I think it's very important what the French from the French Foreign Minister colleague said, to strengthen this European wing in NATO. I think this is very crucial. I think from our perspective, and really this military part and the European part, I think is in my opinion crucial. The other point is. Really, we need to redefine EU's role also on all these issues of comprehensive security, of connectivity, of trade in the Black Sea region, and also in integrating Ukraine into the EU, Moldova into the EU, and hopefully also Georgia as a Black Sea country, which has not been mentioned yet, and is, in my opinion, also a very, very important country. I want to agree with the Turkish colleague on the South Caucasus. I think that we need peace, but I think it's also that neither side is supporting one side in the region or in its military capabilities. So I think which has been the problem also of the past, and I think this is what I always argue, because I'm also working a lot on the South Caucasus. We need to talk with Turkey also more about how to really get peace and open borders and connectivity through the South Caucasus and with the South Caucasus. So I think that's another very important point, and also the bottlenecks we have in Turkey, but also on the middle corridor to connect Asia with Europe, but also to invest in the infrastructure, but also in the countries on the way to Central Asia. So I think that's just another point I wanted to make, and I think Ukraine is key to all this. Yeah, I think just as a last point, I think. If we not in the end do the necessary that Ukraine can really win and protect itself, and there is really a perspective for Ukraine, I think all these things we're discussing here will be challenged. And I repeat myself. I think we still don't understand. Many in Europe still don't understand how crucial this is, and going beyond the 2%. I think we need the 3%, 3.5% to defend ourselves, but then we really need to increase also the production. We need to really have a middle-term and long-term perspective in supporting Ukraine and in integrating Ukraine.
Okay, Mr. Ilge, please.
Yes, thank you. So I would like to follow up on that and say that we should not too much speak about so big visions, connectivity. I mean, there are many projects not finalized. Many things are not clear what has to be done. But we have very concretely to realize projects which are supporting the littoral states. And I would like to give one example. What we should not do has shown us the case of Georgia. In 2019, Georgia almost finished or was almost on the edge of starting to establish a deep sea port in Anaklia. The European Union committed itself with 220 million to guarantee the second phase of the establishment of Anaklia. And then in a mix of bad governments, silence from the European side, also from the leading European states, as well as the US. Anaklia was destroyed by domestic politics in Georgia, which now has been already escalated. And what is missing, I mean, I very appreciate that European Union is already in many points investing, but what you need is also a strategic screen. Which strategic infrastructures are important for the connection of the littoral states, to stabilize these states, to give them more connectivity, by the way, including Armenia, for example. So that is the first I would like to say. The second is, I spoke about the Danube state Germany. I think it is a very important issue to have an alternative north-south route, also for military mobility. And we need now feasibility studies. That would be a duty for the European Commission. What we should do in short time to bring more capacities here, also to do what I spoke at the beginning, to start to support the coastal defense of Ukraine and Romania and Bulgaria, and not to wait until the end of the war. That is very important, and not so much to speak about project and when you have critics to make the project even bigger, but to sort out concrete strategic projects where we can, together with Turkey, together with Georgia and Ukraine, build up things in a mutual benefit. That I think is important now.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Rowe, but please be very brief because our time is almost...
Very brief. No, just to be very brief, I think that we have to think about what we have the present context. Either Russia is pushed back from Ukraine and we have a context where we can work together on peace and prosperity and the economy, either not. And I think we do not have the context to do anything in the Black Sea, and we do not have stability, whatever happens. So we have to work all together collectively to make this not happen.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Plate.
Thank you.
Okay.
So actually what's happening in the Black Sea area, in my opinion, is crucial for the European Union's safety, security and prosperity. Therefore, we need we need to work in Germany towards a Black Sea strategy. We should work towards a Black Sea strategy in the European Union. And I do thank all panelists and our moderator for chipping in their thoughts and staying part of this process. And I'm very grateful on behalf of Konrad Adenauer Foundation and also New Strategy Center, and I am very happy that you were all here and hope you stay committed, and see you soon on this stage or another one next time. Thank you.
Thank you. I also want to thank everyone. We still have exactly 20 seconds from Turkey, and I promise we'll end. Please.
The real bridge to Asia is not Black Sea, it's Turkey. Thank you.
Okay, let's not forget we have another panel soon. It's the last one, I think, from this conference, NATO Defense Policy on Eastern Flank. Thank you so much all. Thank you to the panelists.